What do you want? Do you want to be physically fit? Capable of superhuman feats of physical performance and enjoying delicious, nutritious superfoods? Do you want to be financially fit to master money and build the lifestyle of your dreams? Do you want to be free? Free to travel the world and embark on action-packed adventures to learn, love, and achieve your life's purpose? Well, I sure do. So let's do it together. Begin at austinjosephfitness.com. And remember, fitness is freedom. What's up, peak performers? How you guys doing? So today I really want to talk about a real quick overview of a book, an excellent book that I really liked that I just recently read. So I want to give you a quick review of the book, as well as some of the key concepts and the real things I learned along the way. So this book is called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Clason, along those lines. And one of these, this is an excellent book for financial freedom, for creating your own legacy, for creating your own wealth, and also really for creating long-term sustainable growth for both your income, your savings, everything like that. So excellent text. I really took a lot of time to take some key notes, and if you want more detailed overview, you can check out the PDF link to every single one of my notes on this text, which will help you read in about 5 minutes, get an overview of every key concept in the text. Or you could buy it in a link. I'll put a link in the description as well for the Amazon purchase. But the core ideas that I really want to get across are going to be threefold. So one, The Richest Man in Babylon is about the story of Akkad, and so essentially a car is one of the wealthiest men in this ancient city of Babylon, this mecca, so to say, of wealth, of pre-Christ, 5,000 BC. This was the number one place. It was the Dubai of the Middle Eastern and the ancient world, rather. And so this immense wealth was not guaranteed. Babylon was set up in a location that was not ideal. It wasn't near the water. It wasn't in the perfect fertile climate. But instead, the engineers, the wise men, learned how to set up a canal that would drive the water to the city. And so the very first lesson is from the city itself. And one should learn that regardless of circumstances, with enough hard work and discipline and focused thinking smart, one can create an environment and shift their environment to be better for their own success. In addition to that, I want to give a little bit of synopsis of the key ideas from my book notes. So one of the core ideas of this book is when one is trying to build and create wealth, they need to save 10% of everything they earn and put that towards future endeavors. So that means, in this case, if you're earning, let's say, $50K a year, at least $5,000 needs to be yours only. No one's going into that pot. It's saved for the future. And that allows you to invest and just generate, over time, generate wealth. And so as simple as that is, Akkad's philosophy empowered a lot of people in real life, because this is an old book. It's from the I'm not exactly sure, but not the 2000s. It's a relatively older book. It's helped a lot of people transform and change their lives. So that's the first simple concept. The second key idea, and the second secret, as they call it, or in the text, cure to a lean purse, is managing your money. And as simple as that sounds, it's critically important. So that means tracking and understanding exactly how you're spending your money, and then learning how to create essentially a spreadsheet or some way to understand how your money's flowing out. And there's actually a tale in the text of a man named Daban Seer. And Daban Seer essentially was this old man, this old man that's very wealthy, well-to-do. Everyone in the community loves him and knows him in Babylon. However, Daban Seer was not always well-loved. In fact, when he was a youth, he squandered his money and ended up wasting the loans that his friends gave him, and ended up indebted to the degree that his wife left him, and he turned to robbery in order to make up the funds. And when he turned to robbery, he was unfortunately captured and taken as a slave. When you end up in a negative spiral, you often end up with a lot of difficulty. And so that ties the second lesson of managing one's expenditures, particularly when it comes to loans and avoiding or properly managing debt as it's given. So Damanseer was set in the middle of the Sahara Desert working as a slave, and he was actually almost turned into a eunuch. You can research that if you want to check it out, but it's not what you want to be. So he's almost turned into a eunuch, and thankfully one of the women in the community that he was a slave in had pity on him and gave him, a camel, a horse, etc., and let him escape and return. But she said she'll only do it if he has the spirit of a free man rather than a slave. And so what I want to challenge you in is, whether man or woman, do you have the spirit of a free person? Someone that is not going to create a lifestyle in which they're living paycheck to paycheck, in which they have to slave and labor in order to create some sort of opportunity, or when opportunity arises, they don't have stored up income to pour into it. Or are you going to be, that's a slave mindset in this text, or are you going to be a free person that saves a certain amount of money, puts it towards adventures that help them create their own financial freedom, and someone that is wary when it comes to creating debts and loans and always creates a solid plan for paying them back by dividing their money and knowing exactly how it's moving by managing their money. So that's the second core secret, and it's called Control Thy Expenditures. A lot of the book is written in this old text, an old speaking style. And then last of all, if I were to really summarize, it's making wise investments. So specifically, if you want to guard your treasure from loss, this is the third tenet of the book. You want to guard your treasures from loss, but you also want to make a profitable investment with wise men and women. And so in this case, it's really important to remember that when putting your money towards a venture, you should not bet upon a venture that doesn't have some sort of highly intelligent, highly skilled, highly knowledgeable individuals that are leading the endeavor, or at the very least giving you guidance along the way. It shows many examples of relying on experience burning one for the decisions. A great example was one of the money lenders was approached by a gentleman set in the story, and essentially the gentleman's name, I want to give you the correct name, was Rodon. So Rodon was a gentleman that just received 50 pieces of gold from the king himself in return for creating a spear. In this time period, just imagine, go with me, that 50 pieces of gold is $5 million. Everyone's incredibly amazed. Rodon has now reached success. And of course, everyone is asking for loans. In particular, his sister is asking for a loan for her husband in order for him to start a merchant shop. However, Rodon is now overwhelmed with all these people saying, give me some of that 5 million, give me some of that 50 pieces of gold. And instead, he goes to the moneylender to learn some true wisdom. And the moneylender tells a story of how a donkey, or an ass as it's referred to in the story, is essentially helping out an oxen. And it tells the oxen, like, look, I know you're working hard every day in the stable. If you want to take a break, just pretend like you're sick, because the oxen has been really tired and asked for some help. So the ox is like, okay, gotcha. And he follows this story, and he follows the advice of the donkey, pretends to be sick. However, in this parable, when the farmer goes and finds that the ox is sick, he then turns to the donkey and says, all right, I'm going to hitch you up and make you do the work of the day. And essentially, the poor donkey, for his helping of his friend, was burned by indeed being forced to do the same work that his friend was doing. And so the moral of that story, which the moneylender was trying to communicate to Rodon in the actual story from the text, is when you help out your friends, be very careful, be wary that you're not hurting yourself in the process. That applies not just with money, but in general with life. So that's very important to keep in mind. So the key is keep your money safe, invest it with wise men, and help it build and create compound interest over time. Now, each of these are relatively fundamental concepts. Sorry about that. Relatively fundamental concepts. But the core ideas of keeping 10% of your money, letting it build, and then managing your expenses in order to create a lifestyle that's a little bit below your means for the time that you need in order to succeed. And then last of all, creating compound interest and profitable investments by working with wise men and making wise decisions, perhaps taking the time necessary to research, will allow you long-term to create financial freedom and wealth. Now, I know this is a very fundamental, as I said, text, but the way it's conveyed in Old English stories and ancient types of parables is very helpful and successful. So that being said, I hope you guys check it out. Take the time. If you don't want to take the time to read, it took me about 3 hours, and I'm a relatively fast reader. You can spend about 5-10 minutes just skimming through my notes, which is a PDF file. So click the link below. It'll take you to my website, and then from there, just give me your email address. I can give you the PDF, and we can definitely continue to grow together as peak performers. All right, I hope you guys like this style of video. I'll be doing several more book reviews and 3 core ideas from the books. 3 core ideas from the books. That being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Keep performing, guys. Peace.